Namaste. Namaste. In the study of dance and poetry, we have different poets of different kinds over the centuries who have contributed in the growth of different dance styles. In kathak, as you know, it is closely associated with Krishna Bhakti. That is not to say that the poems of other gods and goddesses do not find reference in kathak, but most certainly the Krishna is the most popular and overreaching theme in kathak. In the two main gharanas of kathak, namely the Jaipur and Lucknow, history has had a big role to play in giving it this direction. In the case of Lucknow Gharana, the fact that the Ishta Devata of the Maharaj family, the first family of Kathak, was Krishna, and they were driven by a desire to revitalize and establish Krishna Natavari Nritya. It was very important reason for the growth of a Krishna-centric art form. So important was this reason that under their influence, even in Banaras, which was Lord Vishwanath's city, the motif of Krishna remained prominent in the dance and bhav artistry emanating from it. Secondly, the main patron of the Gharana, Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, was himself so enamored by Krishna that he wrote and composed dramas and dances around him. He interacted with the Rasadhari and Rasa Leela tradition, and although he learned Kathak from the Krishna Bhakt Maharaj family, he independently created a version of Rasa which he called Rahas, which was enjoyed by the court, in which Wajid Ali Shah himself played the role of Krishna. Thus, a Krishna-centric form grew in Lucknow. According to Pandit Birju Maharaj, when it comes to Rama or Shiv, you maintain a distance of respect, but Krishna can be hugged as a child, a friend, or as a lover, and can be made one's own. In the case of the Jaipur Gharana of Kathak, although Shiva Bhakti, Devi Bhakti and Ganesha Bhakti were part of the religious life in Rajasthan and were more suited to the martial community of Rajputs, the worship of Krishna gained in significance with the arrival of the sacred images of the Gangetic belt as they avoided the onslaught of Islamic invasions. With the images that were brought to Rajasthan for safekeeping came the ritual specialist who sang and danced the Bhakti poetry dedicated to Krishna. From the 15th century onwards, the royal houses became custodians of the Krishna faith, and songs of Bhakti period appealed to the common people as well. The Hindu kings received political authority through their relationship with the gods of their kingdom, and in miniature paintings, Rajput kings are often shown as faithful devotees. The first significant outpouring of Krishna Bhakti poetry came from the state of Mewar. Mewar was the most powerful of the Rajput states and the last to be drawn into Mughal political sphere in the early 17th century. Its capital was Chittor. The first set of passionately moving poetry was written by Meera Bai, born to a royal family in 1498 in Mirza. Authentic historical records about Meera are not available. and scholars have attempted to establish Meera's biography from secondary literature that mention her and wherein dates and other details are available. Most legends about Meera mention her fearless disregard for social and family conventions, her devotion to God Krishna, her treating Krishna as her lover and husband, and she being persecuted by her marital family for her religious devotion, and her miraculous escape each time. While miracles are contested by scholars for the lack of historical evidence, it is widely acknowledged that Meera dedicated her life to Hindu Krishna, composing songs of devotion and was one of the most important poets sent of the Bhakti movement period. Thousands of devotional poems in passionate praise of Krishna are attributed to Meera in Indian tradition, but just a few hundred are believed to be authentic by the scholars. And the early written records suggest that most were written down only in the 18th century. Many poems attributed to Meera were likely composed later by others who admired Meera. These poems are commonly called Meera Bhajans and are popular across India. In her poems, Krishna is a yogi and lover. She saw herself as a yogini, ready to take her place by his side unto a spiritual marital bliss. Her poetry is of a high literary order, even as it retains the flavor of literature of the soil. It was direct and suitable for dance. It could be molded musically into padas, bhajans and thumaris. Meera is often classed with the northern Sant Bhakta who spoke of formless divinity. Meera's worship was both of Madhura and Kanta Bhava as she met with Krishna most intimately. She experienced the thrills and joys of being united as well as the pangs of being parted. Jaipur Gharana dancer Prerna Shrimali who has worked on rare compositions of Meera, set to music by Madhu Mugdal and performed by an ensemble led by her. Titled Dusara Na Koi, this composition employs openness of kathak to accommodate the ecstasy of Meera, thereby breaking away from the stereotypical representation of Meera as an icon of devotion, bhakti and sacrifice. The triad of love, defiance and liberation as exemplified by Meera is so complex and multi-layered that it demands a different and complex dance language to enact or embody it. The 7 verses selected to embody in a symbolic way Meera's entire life and the complexity of emotional tapestry, weaving in the elements of Sanyoga, Lajja, Viraha, Upalambha, Nishchay, Pratiksha. The treatment of the select 7 compositions of Meera in this presentation is distinct in each case. It ranges from a simple word-to-word dance enactment to the more subtle treatments where the dance provides, as it were, choreographic notes to the main text. Sometimes the dance creates suggestive images, at other times it leaves the poem almost untouched. Meera appeals across generations. Therefore, senior dancer Vandana Sen, who had her early training in Jaipur Gharana from famous Srimati Jai Kumari Devi, and later she became fortunate enough to get guidance from the legendary maestro in Lucknow Gharana, Nritya Samrat Shambhu Maharaj, has explored Meera, as has young dancer Apurva Wadke, disciple of Jaipur Gharana's doyen Urmila Nagar. Apurva created a ballet titled Meera, Ek Atmik Sadhana Ki Yatra, that starts with the child Meera getting a Krishna doll and beginning to love it, going on eventually, as well as we know, to love Krishna very intensely. In 1970, Sri Ram Bharatiya Kala Kendra created a ballet called Meera. Later, its director Shobhana Deepak Singh worked with the Kendra's repertory company to create a memorable Meera in which she took the discourse to contemporary issues like gender, empowerment, cultural enlightenment of women, seeking the freedom to live life on own terms and standing up to conventions and male domination in feudal frameworks of a patriarchal society. The kinetics employed were assembled from traditional kathak, Bharatanatyam, Odissi, Chhau, Gujarati Garba and Mathura Ras Leela Nritya. It was enhanced by Nritya and Natya Abhinaya, two key theatrical perspectives of Indian dance and dramas that engaged the participants in dialogue because Singh wanted to portray the Meera in you and me. When she could break away from the parda, why can't a woman today break out from the concrete world? The singing and dancing Meera Bai depicts freedom from male domination. In fact, my choreography has two Meera Bais, one that fits into the established image, then another that defies, explained Shobha Deepak Singh. Chitra Jhankar of Amita Datta, based on well-known songs of Meera, opens with the famous hymn to Krishna sung by Bharat Ratna M.S. Subbulakshmi in Rag Hamir. In the film Meera Bai, Baso More Nainan Me. The rest of the production employs very well-known film songs on Krishna, tuned largely on classical register. The concept of Madhura Bhakti, where Lord is the supreme lover, gained popularity amongst the worshippers of Krishna, especially with the compositions are of Asta Chhap Kavis. The Asta Chhap Kavis were 8 poets who were the followers of Vallabhacharya, and after his death, his son Vithalnath. Vallabhacharya founded the Pushtimarg, which literally means the path of grace. It involved surrender of the highest order to Krishna. In his incarnation as Srinathji, the 7-year-old child Krishna. Several noted poets and philosophers from South, particularly of Telugu origin, just like Vallabhacharya, namely Rupa Goswami, Sanathan Goswami, Gopal Bhatta, migrated to north and spread Pushtimargi and Vaishnava teachings across the region. Many later poets who wrote on the themes of Krishna continued to live in Carnatic music and many classical dance forms in South India. The sect established by him is unique in its facets of devotion to Krishna, especially his child manifestation, and is enriched with the use of traditions, music and festival. Today, most of the followers of this sect reside in western and northern India. The principal shrine of Srinathji is situated at the old temple town of Nathadwara, located 48 kilometers northeast of the lake city Udaipur in Rajasthan. Vallabhacharya's son Vithalnath institutionalized the worship of Srinathji at Nathadwara. And in keeping with his immense popularity, even the town of Nathadwara is called Srinathji. Srinathji specifically refers to the narrative in the Bhagavad Puran, wherein Krishna lifts the Govardhan mountain in an effort to protect the inhabitants of Vrindavan from the torrential rain sent by the king of Devalok, Indra. The image of Srinathji depicts him in the pose of holding up the Govardhan mountain. The Astayam Seva is conceived of how a mother plans the day for a child with hours of rest and play. The arts associated with the shrine of Srinathji are many. Hereditary Kirtanyas of temple of Nathadwara would dance in the inner courtyard, the Dol Tiwari, singing the praises of the Lord and his parents, when permitted by the order of administrative priest. Srinathji is depicted wearing the most exquisite of jewels. Srinathji followers have significant influence on Hindu art in the form of pichwais, which are intricate and colorful paintings on cloth, paper, walls and temple hangings, which portray Srinathji. These are devotional textiles that centers on the image of Srinathji. Nathadwara is hub of the Pichwai art called Nathadwara paintings. Among the Chhap Kavis, the 8 devotional poets of Pushtimarg who composed and sang their padas for Srinathji are Suradas, Kumbhanadas, Krishnadas and Sri Paramanandas, all 4 who were the disciple of Sri Vallabhacharya. The other 4, Govinda Swamiji, Chitta Swamiji, Nandadas ji and Chaturbhuj Das ji were the disciple of Sri Gosai ji, the son of Vallabhacharya. They all were designated to sing as per the 8 periods of the Sri Seva and Darshana. It was in 1608 that Sri Gosai ji formally established the Ashta Sakha Mandal, and from then onwards the pads as per Ashta Prahar became foundation of Kirtan Seva in Pushtimarg. There are 8 main doors in the Srinathji temple, and the Ashtachakas are the right holders of these 8 doorways. They are permanently resident here, and it is believed that only after getting their permission can any devotee enter them. In Pushtimarg, 3 important elements of seva that devotees perform to please Srinathji are Rag, Bhog and Shringar. Rag includes the musical padas of the Ashtasakhas, Bhog includes the food and service, and Shringar the adornment as per the appropriate time of the day. The poetry of Ashtachakas was imaginative and emotional laden and established man's relationship with his God on an intensely emotional manner, as it appeared that they were participating in his Leela. The range of Bhakti subforms like Shingara Bhakti, Dasya Bhakti, Vatsalya Bhakti are reflected in his poetry. Meera sang Mane Chakar Rakho Ji in Dasya Bhakti. Surdas sang Jashoda Hari Palane Jhulave in Vatsalya Bhava. And Kumbhandas sang in Eternal Viraha Rupa Dekhi Naina Palak Lage Nahi Govardhan Dhar ke Ang Ang Prati Nirakhi Naina Mat Rahat Nahi. They composed and sang the pads at the same time that they appeared to have had darshan of the Leela. Hence the poetry is very vivid and meaningful. This poetry has been integrated with every one of the 8 darshanas of Thakurji, and even after 500 years, they are sung in the temples of Pushtimarg. These pads form a huge part of Vrajabhasha literature of India, although some padas are in Sanskrit. Surdas lived long life of 108 years. As the most famous amongst the Ashtasakhas, Surdas is said to have written and composed 100,000 songs in his magnum opus, Sursagar, the ocean of melody, out of which only about 8,000 are extant. He is considered a Saguna Bhakti poet. It is believed that Suradasi was a Saraswat Brahmin who used to live in a small village named Sinhi near Delhi. He was blind from birth and neglected by his family, a fact that may possibly have accounted for his single-minded devotion to Krishna. When we think of Bhava, we remember Suradas, who in spite of his blindness saw the child Krishna or even his romance with Radha, almost like an eyewitness. Even as he sung Akhiya Hari Darshan Ko Pyasi. Surdas' poetry was in a dialect of Hindi, the Brajbhasha, until then considered to be a very plebeian language. the works of Surdas raised the status of Braj Bhasha from a crude language to that of a literary language of great repute. Kumbhandas was a poor farmer, but an ardent devotee of Krishna. He lived a principled life and never desired any wealth. He depicted his experiences of the Leelas of Yugal Swarup and hence recited a pad of Yugal Geet. Bani Radha Giridhari ki Joru. Premananda Das ji sang the Mahima of Bala Leela by giving us that immortal pada, Mayi Mitho Harju ka Bolna. Thus, in all the pads, there was Chit Asat Pranavam, which means that these kirtans and pads during the seva brought into our mind the seva bhav, and in turn our heart gets fully attached to such that we experience Param Anand. Like Surdas, Nandadas was also one of the famous Chhap Kavis. Nandadas was a cousin of the great saint Goswami Tulsidas. Nandadas has created several beautiful poems blended with devotion and romance. He is believed to have written 38 poems that are contained in two anthologies. One is called Rasa Panchadhyayi, which is on the beauty of Krishna's Rasa dance, and the other is Brahmara Gita, which is a set of insightful poems. He had an interesting use of language with alliteration and inbuilt musicality, which is demonstrated by his poems Choto So Kanaiya, Ek Murli Madhur Choti, Choto Choto Sakha, Sang Choti Pag Sirki. Kathak dancers liberally use these songs in their recitals. Vallabhacharya's tribute to Lord Krishna in the 16th century unforgettable poem Madhurashtakam that describes the sweetness of Lord Krishna and evokes his presence as the supreme embodiment of love, bliss and beauty. It is danced often by Mangala Bhatt, disciple of Kundanlal Gangani, and Durgalal of Jaipur Gharana. But the appeal of this beautiful Sanskrit composition is not restricted to Jaipur Gharana, but appeals across Gharanas and across classical dance styles. Krishna's childhood pranks, depicted by Surdas, were the epitome of Vatsalya Rasa. Maiya Mori Makhan Nahi Makhan Khaiyo, Maine Nahi Makhan Khaiyo. Feed the penchant for the Leelas of Krishna, being the setting for the Makhan Chori. Uma Dogra, disciple of Pandit Durgalal, uses the childish playfulness of the lines Sham Tori Bansuri Nek Bajayo, I shall play only your flute, O Sham, and concluding with the lines Prabhu tum ho Radhika, main Nandalal kahavu, to explore the immensity of the thought of playing naughtily with your God. The Ashtapadi by Surdas, Shri Nanda Nandana Nachat Sugandha, has been choreographed by Lucknow Gharana dancer Rani Khanum as ensemble work for the repertory of her institute, Ahmad. The composition has music composed by Anil Bishwas and it employs all the beautiful features of the Lucknow Gharana to establish Sudhanga dance of Krishna. Bhojat Shyam Kaun Tu Gori is one of the most popular pieces of Surdas, which is performed by Uma Sharma in a leisurely manner, often playing with the word Kaun in an expansive manner. From 1973, she took up different poets to choreograph their work. The first were Surdas and Tulsidas. Her performance is based on Panchavati Varnan in the Panchavati woods and Ramavana Gamana of Tulsidas are celebrated works. At a time when research was not in vogue among dancers and printed materials on topics of her choice scarce, she managed to compile a formidable repertoire of research based pieces, the credit for which she gives to the then Secretary of Sangeet Natak Academy, Dr. Suresh Avasthi. He encouraged her to go to Vrindavan, read Surdas, read Tulsidas. For her unmatched lifetime interest and skill with poetry, for which she is often heard of admitting that Krishna and Ghalib are the two poetic mainstays of her life, she credits her father and other mentors. Incandescent because of her love for poetry and high quality training she received from 1964 onwards by Shambhu Maharaj, Uma Sharma's programs bear an old word charm, largely arising from the joy of interpreting the poetic word. Uma Sharma is particularly partial to Vallabhacharya's Madhurashtakam and Meera's Vari Vari Sham Ho Vari, both of which she explores in an unstructured manner with an on the spot interpretation and the organic upaj interplay. The same holds true for her interpretation of Rasakhan's description of Krishna's Mukut, Chirari Chatak Haitak Navakundale. Uma Sharma has the unique distinction of being able to sing as she dances, and she sings Meera. She becomes a Khandita Naika, albeit an Uttama Naika, besotted by Krishna as she asks in myriad ways, Kaun Sakhi Sang Tum Rang Rate, providing thereby that she has no peers in Abhinaya, and that even while depicting the Shringara Rasa, Madhura Bhava, the Krishna legend, is shown with many splendid hues and colors. The amorous dalliance of the symbolic lovers Krishna and Radha is often depicted in Bhakti mode as the meeting of the Jivatma and Paramatma. The outpouring of these saint poets from the integral part of Kathak dancers created a work titled Venunath, depicting the eternal love between Radha and Krishna, between Atma and Paramatma. The original music was by Girija Devi, and the additional music compositions were by Siddhartha Bhattacharya. The lyrics were entirely from Suradas Padas. To mark the 5th century celebrations of the poet in 1978, Maya Rao was invited to create a ballet on the poet's saint. Anil Bishwas composed the music, and the ballet was appreciated not just in India but overseas as well. It won an international award for choreography and filming in Paris. Thank you.